All right, so our lesson today is called Finding Slope from Ordered Pairs. Specifically, we're going to use something called the slope formula. Slope formula is not the same as slope-intercept form. They sound the same and they have some similarities, but the slope formula is a formula that we use to find the slope of ordered pairs. Now, before the break, we talked a lot about slope. What does it mean to find the slope of a line? What are you finding?
The rise over the run.
The rise over the run is how you find it, but what are you actually figuring out when you're finding the slope?
Ordered pairs.
No, the ordered pairs, you're not finding out the ordered pairs. What does it mean if I'm saying find the slope?
X and Y.
No. What does that word slope sound like?
No, wait, the steepness.
The steepness, thank you. The steepness of the line. So, if I were to give you, do you also agree that if you have at least 2 points, you could form a line? Now, today's lesson isn't going to give you a graph with the line shown to you where you could do the rise over the run. Instead, I'm going to give you ordered pairs, and you're going to have to figure out the slope by using what we call the slope formula. Okay? The slope formula says y2 minus y1 is equal to, I'm sorry, m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. What does that letter M mean? Slope, right? So, this is the formula you use to find the slope. Now, what do you think it means by y2 and y1 and x2 and x1? Okay, so basically, if you look, you'll see the questions will look like this. Find the slope of a line that passes through these two ordered pairs. I have 8, 3 and 6, 9. Do you agree that you could graph both of those points on a coordinate plane and connect them and form a line? Yes. And if you wanted to, then you could find the rise over the run and figure out the slope of the line. However, I would assume that nobody wants to sit there and graph those points. So instead, we're going to use the slope formula. Do you see how the y values are at the top? The y2 and the y1 are at the top of the fraction. Why do you think those are at the top?
Because the line goes like this, like up and down.
What does the up and down mean?
Horizontal, vertical.
Well, a vertical line is up and down, but when we were finding the slope, what part of the slope is the up and down? The rise part. Isn't the rise the top part of the fraction? So the y's are the top part of the fraction, and the bottom part of the fraction, the x's, that would be like the run. So if I look at these two ordered pairs here, do you agree there's two ordered pairs? Now, what do you call the first number in any ordered pair? Your x value. What do you call the second number in any ordered pair? Now, the thing is, I have two ordered pairs. So what would you call the 6 in this ordered pair?
X2.
The x value, but it's the second x value. So we call that x2, which means the first x value was x1. That 9 is the second y value. So I'm going to call that y2, which automatically makes the first y, y1. Using those labels, you could plug that into this formula. Now, yes, you have to memorize that slope formula. That's not an option. You have to memorize it, and you have to memorize it correctly. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. The numerator is always the y's, the denominator is always the x's. Yes?
Is there going to be a case where like it swaps? Like instead of being x2, it's going to be x2 and then x1.
All right, so I would highly suggest that every single question you do, you write the slope formula first and you label your ordered pairs the way they're supposed to be labeled so you know what goes where. So the first thing I'm going to do is write the slope formula. I still do that myself almost every time just to make sure I'm putting things where they're supposed to go. So the slope formula says, who could tell me right away now what the slope formula says? y2 minus y1. Do you notice how both the numerator and the denominator have a minus sign as part of the formula? That's important. Do you see how both of these have a minus sign? The formula itself is minus. Both of them are minus. So, if I need to do y2, what is the y2 value in this? Do you see how I put a minus sign in between each one? Right? All right. What's the y2 value here? 9. What's the y1 value? All right. That's the numerator. y2 minus y1. What's the x2 value? 6. And then the x1 value is? So now we could do the math. We could do the math in the numerator and then the math in the denominator. 9 minus 3 is going to give you, and 6 minus 8 is going to give you negative 2. Now you have to simplify that if possible. What is 6 divided by negative 2? Negative 3. So the slope of the line would be negative 3. If you were to graph those 2 points and do the rise over the run, you would see the slope is negative 3. All right, let's try this next one. All right. Again, I would always write the formula first. So the formula says y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. What is this negative 3 going to be? Your x1. What is the positive 1 going to be? y1. And then the positive 3 is going to be your second x, so x2, and your negative 5 is your second y, so y2. Now, the formula says minus in both of them. However, be careful with your integers, because sometimes when you plug negative numbers into this formula, you'll end up with something a little different. So let's see what happens here. y2 is negative 5, correct? y1 is 1. All right, x2 is 3 and x1 is negative 3. So when we go to solve the numerator and the denominator, we have to be very careful with our integers. If you look in the numerator, what is negative 5 minus 1 going to give you? Negative 6. Good. Now, what happens when you have 2 minus signs right next to each other? Positive. Turns into a plus. So now it says 3 plus 3 in the denominator, which is? 6. So I have a negative 6 divided by a positive 6. What does the slope equal if it's a negative 6 divided by positive 6?
0.
No.
Oh, negative 1.
Negative 1.
Oh,
right? All right. I want you guys to try the next one. So I would suggest you write the formula first. You label each of the numbers and then plug it in properly. The 2 parts of this that are difficult are, I wouldn't say difficult, but the 2 most challenging parts of this lesson are 1, memorizing the formula properly, which isn't difficult, it just takes some effort. You need to memorize it properly. That's the first thing. The second thing is making sure you know your integers, because when there's negative numbers in there, it makes it a little bit challenging. So I'm going to say I wrote the formula, and I also labeled my ordered pairs. So the formula is going to be minus in the numerator and the denominator. So the first part that goes right here is the y2, right? The y2 is negative 8. Minus y1. Well, the y1 is negative 2, so it's minusing a negative. We'll take care of that in a minute, but I'm going to go back to that. All right, on the bottom of the fraction, x2 is 7 minus x1, which in this case is 4. So that's how it should be set up. If you look in the numerator, you'll notice that those 2 minus signs sitting next to each other turn into a plus. So you have negative 8 plus 2, which is negative 6. And then in the denominator, 7 minus 4 is going to give me positive 3. What's a negative 6 divided by a positive 3 going to give you? So the slope is negative 2. We're just going to keep practicing more of these. All right, so let's do this one quickly. Hopefully we're getting the idea of this. So y2 is what here?
7.
7. Minus y1. What is y1? Negative 1. Over x2, which in this case is Positive 1 minus x1, which is negative 9. So minus negative 9, right?
Yes.
So both of them this time turn into plus signs, right? So 7 plus 1 is 8, and 1 plus 9 is 10. That's not going to simplify to a whole number. All right, so 8 over 10 does not turn into a whole number. However, you can simplify it. What are they both divisible by? 2. What's 8 divided by 2?
4.
What's 10 divided by 2? So the slope, we're not turning that into a decimal. We're not going to say 0.8, even though that's equivalent to 0.8. We're going to say m, which is the slope, is equal to 4/5. Because think about that. If I were to graph this, doesn't that mean rise 4, run 5? So we would leave it as 4/5. M is 4/5. What?
If you left it as 8 tenths, would it still be right?
It would not be simplified. I want it simplified.
So you got that on the test, it'd be wrong?
I would like it to be simplified. All right. When I do this slope formula here, which again, I'm writing it every single time, the more you write it correctly, the easier you're going to remember it. All right. My y2 is negative 5, correct? Minus my y1 is 6 over my x2, which is 3, minus x1, which is 3. Negative 5 minus 6 is equal to what?
Negative 11.
Good. What is 3 minus 3?
0.
Okay, so what is the slope then?
Yeah.
Is it negative 11 over 0?
No, it's just negative 11.
Negative 11 over 0 is absolutely 1,000% not negative 11. Undefined. Remember, I've shown you this multiple times now where I say okay versus no. It's okay to have a 0 in the numerator. If 0 is in the numerator, it equals 0. If 0 is in the denominator, that's a no-no. You can't have that. That means the slope is undefined. That is different than saying a slope is 0. What kind of lines have a slope of undefined? Vertical. Horizontal are 0. Vertical are undefined. So this is clearly a vertical line, which means the slope is undefined, which makes sense because aren't the x values the same? So if you were to graph those two ordered pairs, wouldn't they be on top of each other, which is a vertical line? The slope is undefined when the denominator is 0. Alternately, if you look at this one, if we do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 here, y2 is 4. Y1 is also 4. X2 is 9 and x1 is negative 1, right?
Yes.
In the numerator, what is 4 minus 4? 9 minus negative 1 means 9 plus 1, which is 10. So if the answer is 0 over 10, what is the actual slope?
0.
0. If the 0 is in the numerator, then that means the slope is 0. What kind of lines have a slope of 0?
Flat.
Flat isn't the right word.
Horizontal.
Horizontal lines have 0 slope. Vertical lines have undefined slope. Horizontal lines have 0 slope. Okay? All right, I have 2 more for you guys to try, and then I'm going to let you start your homework. So I'm going to give you about 2 or 3 minutes to do these 2. We'll go over them, and then I'll let you start your homework. All right, so on the first one, y2 is 8 minus y1 is negative 6. x2 is 5, x1 is 12. So I have 8 minus negative 6, which turns into 8 plus 6, which is 14. And 5 minus 12 is negative 7. And 14 divided by negative 7 would give me negative 2. So the slope is negative 2 there. Last one. Where did I get what? All right. Slope formula. I can't stress this enough. Keep writing it every single time and you'll have it memorized. It's very easy to not put the numbers in the right spot if you don't know the formula properly. All right. y2 is negative 6 minus y1, which is positive 2, over x2, which is negative 3, minus x1, which is negative 18. So in the numerator, negative 6 minus 2 gives you negative 8. And -3 minus minus -18 really makes it -3 plus 18, which is positive 15. Now, if you look at 8 and 15, is there any number you could simplify or any number that 8 and 15 are both divisible by? No. So, what's a negative divided by a positive? Negative. So my answer is negative, and we just leave it as 8/15. If they were both negative, it would simplify to a positive, but that's not what happened here. It was -8/15. Do not turn that into a decimal. You leave it as -8/15. Okay? All right, that's the lesson. You guys could start your homework, which is just a PDF. It's due tomorrow morning. You have enough time to get a good amount of that done right now in class.